Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Today's daf is SUKKAH Nun Aleph. We begin on the last line on Nun Amud Beis. Amar Rav Papa Ketanoi. We're in the midst of a discussion regarding the essence of the Shira performed by the Leviim during routine Karbanis throughout the year, or during Simchas Beis HaShe'eva, all throughout these nights of Sukkot. So we have two elements: vocals, the choir, and we also have instruments. Now, which one is considered primary and which one's secondary? We have machlokes. Some say ikar shira b'peh. What's primary? Vocals. The actual singing, that's the main element. Instruments, just to enhance the experience. Or some say ikar shira b'kli. Instruments are primary. Amarav Papa Ketanoi. This is actually going to be a machlokes tanoim. Which shayla? Whether ikar shira is peh or kli. We're going to have a mishnah, and we're going to conclude that apparently the shitas in this mishnah are based on this question. What was the identity of those playing those instruments during Karbanos throughout the year? Avdei Kohanim hayu divrei Rabbi Meir. According to Rabbi Meir, they were avadim, servants of Kohanim. Rabbi Yossi, they were Yisraelim, of pure lineage. Mishpachas based Hapegarim, this family, Umishpachas, this other family based Siparaya. Hayu, they hailed from the town of and also special about them, Shahayu Masin L'Kuhuna. They had verified pure lineage, they had good yichus, from which Kohanim would marry. Kohanim would marry into these families. According to the Tanakama, Rabbi Meir, Avadim played the instruments. According to Rabbi Yossi, Yisraelim, with verified yichus. Rabbi Chanina ben Antignos Omer, Leviim hayu. Actually, just as the singers were Leviim, the instrument players as well. So three shittas: Leviim, Yisraelim miyuchasim, or even Avadim. What's the point of machlokes? Maila boka miflagi. Let's assume that the machlokes revolves around our question. The man the Amar Avadim hayu, the one that maintains they were slaves. Kasaver ikar shira b'peh. Vocals are the main element of shira. Music is just to enhance the vocals, and therefore anybody can do it, even avadim. Umat the Amar Leviim hayu, the one that maintains players had to be Leviim. Kasaver, because he holds ikar shira b'kli. The instruments are the primary element within the shira, and just as the singing had to be conducted by Leviim, instrument playing as well. So apparently their machlokes revolves around this question: what's primary, what's secondary within the shira arrangement? V'tispro, can you say that? What about that third shita? How are you going to explain that shita? The shita that requires Yisraelim with verified lineage. Rabbi Yossi Makasavar, what does Rabbi Yossi hold? Ikasavar, Ika shira b'peh. He holds vocals are primary, and music is just secondary. Afil avadim nami, and he would allow even avadim to do that. He doesn't. If he holds that instrument playing is primary, then why does he allow Yisraelim miyuchasim, Leviim in, Yisraelim light? Then only Leviim should be allowed into that. They're not Yisraelim. So what is he going to hold? You've sort of figured out the other shittas. Avadim, because Ika Shira is b'peh. Instruments don't really play a pivotal role. The one that holds Leviim, because Ika Shira b'kli. What about the third shitta? It says you don't need Leviim, but you need Yisraelim Yuchasim. It's not really going to fit into your arrangement. The pshat must be different. Ella, rather. The Kuli Alma Ikar Shira b'peh. All three of these shittas hold. Vocals are primary. So technically, anybody can do the instruments. Ubalka Miflagi and the machlokes is simply as follows regarding the actual circumstance. It's a factual machlokes. The Mar Savar Hachi Avamas. One man, the Amar, says, well, this is exactly how they used to do it. And the opposing view maintains that factually it was different. But there isn't really a substantive machlokes between them. So then what's the point of discussing this? Just discussing facts and stories? There's no halachic implication. There is a halachic implication. It's a question of falsely identifying and certifying a fellow found on the Duchen, which was the stage upon which the Leviim would sing and play. So what happens if you see somebody on that stage? The question is, will you use that to verify his identity, to upgrade him further, to consider him to be perhaps a Levi with Maser Rishon privileges, or perhaps consider him to be of pure lineage, to allow Kohanim to marry into his family? The fact that he's standing on the Duchen, is that any indication whatsoever of his identity, of his kashrus? That's the point of discussion in this Mishnah. L'malin, will somebody upgrade him? Will somebody certify him? Miduchen, from the fact that he's standing on the Duchen, leyuchsan or lemaser, consider him to be a meyuchas with pure lineage, or give him masa privileges, to consider him to be a Levi. Kamiflagi, that's the point of the machlokes. Is there such a concern or not? And based on that, whether or not there's a concern, they would either be careful or not be careful with regards to who was standing on that duchen, so that he doesn't get falsely identified and certified. How does this work? Man the Amar Avadim Hayu, the shita that says that Avadim would stand on the duchen and play those instruments, he holds there's no concern of upgrading, identifying, and certifying, because Savar ein malin mid duchen leyuchsen. Nobody would identify a fellow on the duchen as being a miyuchas, v'loy lemaser, and certainly not as being a Levi with maser privileges. And therefore, Meir says, use anybody on the duchen, even an eved. There won't be any false identification. Uman the Amar Yisrael Hayu, whereas the shita that says, Rabbi Yossi says, it needs to be Yisrael miyuchas on that duchen playing the music. Because Savar malin meduchen liyochsen, he holds that the very fact that a fellow is standing on the duchen, that indicates that he's a Yisrael miyuchas. That's just the way it is. The Iker Sugya really is elsewhere. Here we just have a brief synopsis of this sugya, and the summary is like this: that Rabbi Yossi holds that's a limited concern. They're going to perhaps upgrade him. They're going to give him certification as a miyuchas, ma'alin meduchen leyuchsen, and therefore he says you don't place anybody on the duchen who is not a miyuchas. He's not falsely identified as a miyuchas. Avaloy lemaser, but of course they won't think that he's a Levi who gets maser, and therefore all you need is Yisrael miyuchas to avoid any confusion. And furthermore, Oman Amar Levim Hayu, the third shita in the Mishnah, Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes, who maintains that only Levim would play, because he holds a step further. Because Savar Malin Meduchen, Ben Liyechs and Ben Lamaser, he holds that when a fellow is sighted on that stage, the general perception is that he's not only a miyuchas, he's a Levi who gets Maser Rishon privileges, and therefore, unless he's really a Levi, don't place him on the duchen to avoid confusion. Okay, so that's the conclusion. We attempted to hinge this machlokes upon the earlier shaila of what's the ikar, what's the tafel when it comes to shira. Is it music? Is it vocals? The Gemara concluded it's unrelated. Rather, is a question of identity, of false identity, of certification, of malin. So we have three shitas regarding the players of those instruments. Avadim, because there's no concern of certification. Levim, there is very much a concern of certification to the point that people think he's a Levi. So make sure only Levim stand there. The middle shita, Yisrael miyuchasim, holds perhaps people will consider him to be a Yisrael with pure yichus, but no more than that. Therefore, as long as he is a Yisrael miyuchas, you're safe. Now let's go back to yesterday's sugya. We had a machlokes tanoim between Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda, who said that instrument playing in the Beis Hamikdash is doiche Shabbos and doiche Yom Tov. Now we say doiche, we don't mean that a melacha had to be done. Rashi and Tosfos both point out it's a shvus de Rabbanon. One is not meant to play instruments today on Shabbos because it might come to a melacha, it might come to repair it, to put it back into tune, and therefore it would involve a melacha, and therefore it's asam d'Rabbanan. In the Beis Hamikdash, where the hakravas hatamid, hakravas hakarbanis were doiche Shabbos v'Yom Tov, we learned it from SUKKAH. Pasuk said b'may adai, it's meant to be brought in its time, irrelevant of the circumstance. Questions regarding the shira, which usually accompanied the tamid. Torah required shira with a carbon. Rabbi Yehuda says Just as the vocals were necessary, music was necessary as well. And therefore playing that instrument, having that orchestra perform during the Shira of Karbanis is Deicha Shabbos. Chacham say, not at all. Instrument playing, that's not so crucial, that's not Deicha Shabbos. That's the bryce that we had yesterday. What's the background, what's the rationale behind the machlekes? So there was an Amira by the name of Rabbi Yosef, who explained as follows. According to his view, all agree that by Simchas Beis HaShe'eva, it doesn't justify Chilul Shabbos, it's just Simcha Yisera, it's not really part of the korban, not part of the Avodah, there's no reason to do it on Shabbos. That's agreed upon by all Shittas. Beis HaShe'eva, Loi Dachi. The machlekes was regarding Shira ala korban throughout the year. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda held, when we have vocals and instruments, which one is primary, which one is secondary? Instruments are primary. They're an integral part of the avodah. They perform as though they are klei sharis. And just as the shchita, the avodah itself is Deicha Shabbos, instrument playing as well is Deicha Shabbos. Whereas the Chachamim say, Ikar shira b'peh, vocals, they are primary. And therefore there's no justification to play instruments on Shabbos. So in brief, according to Rav Yosef's approach, Beis HaShe'eva l'kuli alma is not Deicha Shabbos. It's not an avodah, it's not hakrava. It's just an enhanced simcha experience. Whereas by hakravas hakarban, it is mandated in HaTorah. One shita says the instruments play a pivotal role. They're crucial to the success of Shira and Deicha Shabbos. The other shita says no. Vocals are primary. Music, that's just secondary, and it's not Deicha Shabbos. Now the Gemara is going to present an alternate explanation of this machlekes tanoim, whether or not instrument playing in the Beis Hamikdash is Deicha Shabbos. Rabbi Yehuda bar Abba Amar, he maintains as follows: machlekes b'shir shel she'eva. He holds that both tanoim concur with the concept of ikar shira b'kli. Instruments are the ones that provide the ikar shira experience. That's pashut. The machlekes is b'shir shel she'eva. That's the question. Instrument playing during Simchas Beis HaShe'eva. The Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda Savar Simcha Yisera Nami Deichas HaShabbos. He holds that since it's a Simchas Mitzvah in the Beis HaMikdash, it's part of the Mikdash's schedule, and it's Deichas Shabbos. Rabbanan Sabri Simcha Yisera, this enhanced Simcha experience, ain't a Deichas HaShabbos. That's not really part of the Akrava. It's not Deichas Shabbos. That's all. Machlekes revolves around Beis HaShe'eva. Aval b'shir shel karban divrei hakoil avodahi v'deiches haShabbos. Of course, instrument playing during avoda, during a korban tamid, when they pour the wine, etc. Of course, that's an avoda. Instruments. Without instruments, you don't have music. You don't have shira. It brings out the soul of the music. Of course, it's part of the avoda and deiches Shabbos. So, according to this approach, all amaskim all agree that instrument playing is the primary element within the Shira experience. So when it comes to a korban, of course it's Deichas Shabbos. The question is by Beis HaShe'eva. Since it's not really Hakravas HaKorban, it's just a Simcha experience on account of the Nisach HaMayim and the Beis HaMikdash. According to one Shita, it's still going to be Deicha. According to the other, it's not. Whereas Rav Yosef, just refresh that again, Rav Yosef, the first approach, took a different route. He said that by Beis HaShe'eva, of course, it's not going to be Deicha. The question is by Hakravas HaKorban. According to one Shita, it's Deicha, because Ika Shira B'Kli. According to the other Shita, it's not Deicha, Ika Shira B'Peh. So in short, according to Rav Yosef, She'eva Kul Yam is not Deicha. By Korban, we have Machlekes. According to Rav Yirmiyah Bar Abba, the second version right here, by Korban all agree it is Deicha, because instruments make the music. By She'eva, we have a Shaila. Simcha Yisera, does it justify or not? Meisvei, listen to this kasha of Rav Yosef from a Bryce. Shir Shashayeva Doichas HaShabbos, Divrei Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda. A clear Bryce which refutes Rav Yosef's approach. Even Shir Shashayeva is Doichas Shabbos according to Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda, because Ika Shira B'Kli. And even Simchas Beis HaShe'eva is considered enough, important enough, which requires a kalim, even on Shabbos. They disagree. They hold Beis She'eva doesn't allow Chilul Shabbos. It's a clear kasha on the first approach in the Gemara, which maintained that Beis She'eva, according to all shittas, it's not Deicha Shabbos. Tiyufta, that Rav Yosef, Tiyufta, it's pretty clear that Rav Yosef's opinion just became refuted. We've just proven that even by Shir She'eva, according to this Tana, we have the allowance to use instruments. Okay, says the Gemara, perhaps let's completely refute Rav Yosef. Remember, Rav Yosef said two things. That by She'eva l'kuliyam it's not Deicha Shabbos. We've just asked on that. And number two, he said that even by Shir Shel Karban, where it's really part of the Akrava, we have a machlekes, whether or not it's Deicha Shabbos. Lema, let's have a kasha on the other aspect as well. We're going to prove that by Karban all agree it's Deicha Shabbos because Iker Shira Bekli, it's part of the Avodah. Lema b'Shir Shel Eva Hu Depligi, perhaps. From this brisa we can infer, we can make a diak. The machlekes only applies to the Shir Shel Eva. Aval b'Shir Shel Karban, but when it comes to a shir of an ordinary carbon, all agree it's Deicha Shabbos because Iker Shira Bekli. Kalim makes the shira, and by an ordinary carbon, the shira is part and parcel of the akrava. If so, we're going to have a double kasha on Rav Yosef. Number one, what we've just proven, that even by Beis She'eva, we have a shita which says it's Deicha. Number two, the discussion only involves Beis She'eva, but by an ordinary carbon where it's required, according to all shittas, Ika Shira Bekli and it's Deicha Shabbos, that's a double kasha on Rav Yosef. Because he maintained that by She'eva, all agreed there's no Chilul Shabbos. He maintained that by carbon there's a machlekes. Amalach Rav Yosef, Rav Yosef can respond not so fast. I understand you had one kasha on me. You disproved me on one account. You've proven that by Beis She'eva there is a shita which allows, but perhaps pligi b'shir she'eva, the same machlekes that applies by She'eva, v'huadin the carbon will apply to carbon as well. Maybe by carbon there is also machlekes, whether or not it's deicha, whether or not instrument playing is really crucial. So why does the Brisa only present the machlekes during Beis She'eva, which perhaps would indicate that by carbon all agree it's mutter? Not necessarily. Just to highlight Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda's shita, that even the playing during She'eva is dachi. So that's the point of the Brisa highlighting the Beis She'eva. But perhaps the same discussion would apply to carbon as well, just as I maintained. Okay, so we haven't really proven him wrong on that account. Says the Gemara. But take a look at our Mishnah. Yesterday's Mishnah. Vaktani. Zehu chalol shel Beis She'eva. She'ena deicha. Lo yis haShabbos lo yis Yom Tov. Mishnah tells us that the instrument playing during She'eva doesn't override Shabbos or Yom Tov, right? Let's stop right there and make a diuk. Zehu de'ena deicha. Apparently it's this type of playing which is not deicha, Shabbos or Yom Tov, but it's only Beis She'eva, which is only Simchiyas Seira. It's not a crucial element of Hakrava or carbon. Apparently, Aval the carbon deicha, if it would be something higher ranking, like Shira during a carbon, of course it would be deicha. Now let's analyze whose shita is this. Mani, who is this? He named it Rabbi Yehuda Bar Yehuda. Is it Rabbi Yehuda Bar Yehuda? Ha'amar Shir She'eva nami deicha. Does Rabbi Yehuda say that even She'eva is deicha Shabbos, as we just brought in the Brisa? So it can't be him speaking. Elav Rabbanon. Apparently it's the Rabbanon who say that Simcha Yisera of She'eva doesn't justify Chilul Shabbos. But we had a diak to indicate that Shira Shel Karban is Deicha Shabbos. So it's pretty clear that when it comes to carbon, there's no machlek, there's no discussion. Of course it's Deicha Shabbos. V'tiyufta de Rav Yosef betarti tiyufta. We have a double refutation on Rav Yosef. We've just proven that when it comes to She'eva, we have machlekes. And this is in contrast to Rav Yosef, who maintained that by She'eva there's no Chilul Shabbos according to all shittas. And number two, when it comes to a carbon, which is the Ikar Akrava, where the music plays a crucial role in presenting that shira, all agree it's Deicha Shabbos. And this once again is a steer to Rav Yosef, who maintained that by carbon we have machlekes, What's primary, what's secondary? It's pretty clear. All agree. Instruments are primary and are considered part of the akrava and of the Shabbos. So in summary, regarding the shaila whether or not klei shir is something which is Deicha Shabbos, we had Rav Yosef, we had Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba. According to Rav Yosef, by carbon where it's really part of the avodah, we have machlekes. One shita says, well, vocals are primary, music, it's only secondary, and it's not Deicha Shabbos. The other shita says, Ikar Shira B'Kli, that's the Ikar. And therefore it's part of the avodah in Deicha Shabbos. Regarding Beis HaShe'eva, which is only a Simcha Yisera experience, all agree it's not Deicha Shabbos. The Maskara of the Gemara was that Rabbi Yehuda bar Abba's approach is correct, who maintains that by the carbon, which is avodah, all agree it's Deicha Shabbos because Ikar Shira B'Kli, and the Keli makes the Shira. Whereas by Beis HaShe'eva, which is only Simcha Yisera, here we have a machlekes. Does it justify or not? Okay, so we had these shitas here. We just concluded they all hold Ikar Shira B'Kli. And earlier on the Amud, we discussed several shitas regarding who played the music. And the Gemara concluded there that Ikar Shira B'Peh. So it does seem to be a point of discussion between Tanaim. And the Gemara is going to go to try to investigate the basis for this machlekes. Says the Gemara, "My taima demanda Amar Ikar Shira B'Kli." What's the reason to say that the instrument is what makes the shira? We learn it from a pasuk. Chizkiyo instructed lahala sa'olah mizbeach to bring up the olah. Ube'ez heichel ha'olah. Once the olah started being brought, heichel shir Hashem, the shir began. How? The shir and the trumpets. The trumpets were meant to blow. They were meant to use for blowing. The tkiya and the trua. It wasn't really an instrument, a playing instrument, music instrument. So the shir Hashem and the chatzotzos began playing. Vayidei klei David melech Yisrael. So we see that shir is brought about by the klei David melech Yisrael, by the instruments. They are instrumental in producing the shira. That's a raya, the Ikar Shira B'Kli. My time in the mandama Ikar Shira B'Peh. What's the reason for the other mandama that vocals are primary? Where does he know that from? The chsiv, from a pasuk. Vayike echad l'machatz tzirim u'l'masherim lashmiya kol echad. The machatz tzirim, those that blew trumpets for the tkiya and the trua and the tkiya, wasn't really music oriented. It was just the tkiya, like the shofar, and the mashirim, the singers. They joined together for kol echad. So the fact that we don't find any instruments in this pasuk, find mashirim, apparently vocals, choir is sufficient for shira. V'idach nami, what does this mandama do with the other pasuk, Oksiv, Vayem Chizkiyo, where we find instruments as part of the shira? Hachika Amar, this is what the pasuk means. Heichel Shir Hashem B'Peh. The Shir Hashem was initiated by vocals. They klei David melech Yisrael. They came along. The instruments came along libsumi kala to enhance the koil, the vocals and the voices. But the Ikar Shira is produced by Peh. What's the other mandama do with this pasuk, which indicates that shira is produced by vocals? Just the opposite. The pasuk is comparing vocals, mishirim, to machatz tzirim, which are really instruments. Just as the machatz tzirim, the blowers, would use a kli, a trumpet, af mesherim b'kli. Likewise, the mesherim, the singers, would take advantage of kalim. Meaning, the shira is produced by kalim, by instruments. Okay, so that's the machlokes. What's the primary element and what's the secondary element within the shira arrangement? Is it the vocals or the instruments? Continues the Mishnah. One who never experienced this intense joy, which was exhibited during Simchas Beis HaShe'eva, this deep spiritual joy, you know what? He never really experienced true Simcha. So what was it about? On Motzei, first day Sukkot, they all went down to the Ezras Nashim in the Beis HaMikdash. and they corrected something, they modified. A great tikkun, the Gemara will explain, this means they rearranged the scene to make a proper separation between men and women. So we have the Kodesh HaKadoshim, we have the Heichal, we have the Ezras Yisrael, and then we have the Ezras Nashim. That was the Beis HaMikdash. Around that we had the Harabayis. So we went down towards the Ezras Nashim. That's where the celebration took place, in the Ezras Nashim. Menorah shel Zav Hayusham. There were these menorahs, these candelabras. Va'arba Sfalim shel Zav b'Rashem. Each one featured 4 buckets into which they would pour oil and light a big a torch. Va'arba sulames l'ka'echad ve'echad. Each menorah had 4 ladders, 1 ladder per bucket. Va'arba yiladim mepirchei kahuna, upon which 4 young kahanim would climb up. Ubidem kadim shel mei v'esrim logan. Their hands, they would be holding these buckets, which would contain 120 lug of oil. Shein matilin chal seifel v'seifel, which they would pour into the buckets. The Gemara explains it was actually 30 lug per bucket. So every menorah had 4 buckets, a ladder per bucket. A youngster would climb up with a 30 lug bucket, which you would empty into that, a seifel on top, and they would light it. How would they light it? What would they use for wicks? They would take these worn out michnasayim of the kahanim and some of them their girdles, their belts. They would use those to tear them apart and form them into wicks. And use them for wicks. And it was so light, the illumination would spread out. There wasn't a single courtyard which wasn't affected by the light exuding forth from the Beis HaShe'eva. The Irin Yaakov explains that the menorah here was a simon of Torah, Kiner Mitzvah of Torah Oyer, and they had 4 of these 4 buckets on top to indicate the 4 chalakim of Torah: Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Soid. The Mariach in Mishnah says 120 lug corresponded to the 120 days that Moshe Rabbeinu spent up in Shemayim to bring down the Torah, and perhaps the point of 50 amas, which the Gemara say it was actually 50 amas high, was connected the Chamishim Sharibina, which the Torah consists of. In any case, we had a great illumination, and now it was time to celebrate. Chasidim and people of good deeds, they were the performers. They didn't have clowns. They were tzaddikim, were the ones who presented the simcha shel mitzvah. They would dance bavukos shel orbi adain with these torches. Rashi says some had 4, some had 8 torches, and they would juggle them with great talent. And they would be busy all night, speaking divrei shirah tishbachos, praise and song to Hashem. Valavim, and the Levim were engaged in playing those instruments. B'kinoros, harps, b'navalim, lyres, mitzal taim, cymbals, b'chatzotzres, trumpets, u'b'klei shir b'lei mispar, an endless amount of instruments. Al chamesh esrei malos, where was the stage? Those are the 15 steps. Hayordos me'ezros Yisrael Ezras Nashim, which take you from Ezras Yisrael down to Ezras Nashim. 15 steps. Keneged chamesh esrei malos, or Shira Malos, Sheba Tehillim. The 15 steps were built corresponding to the 15 chapters of Tehillim, which begin with the word Shira Malos. Shal Aleim Levim Oimdin Meklei Shira, upon which the Levim would stand with their instruments, V'oimrim Shira, and would express Shira to Hashem. Now Maharsha explains why specifically why were there 15 steps connected to Shira Malos. He says that when David HaMelech had to ask Hashem to bring back the water, which was hidden in the depths of the underground, he said 15 times Shira Malos, and each Shira Malos brought up another level. And therefore on Sukkot, in Shulchas Beis HaShe'eva, which was the carbon of Nisach HaMayim, where we ask Hashem for bracha and shefa, specifically rainfall and mayim, so the Shira and the Simcha would take place on these 15 steps to bring about a corresponding Ava from Hashem to us, and a shefa of bracha and a shefa of mayim. So this took place all throughout the night. Come morning, it was time to draw the water. Va'amdu shnei kohanim b'shara elyon, 2 kohanim would position themselves near the upper gateway. So as you leave the Ezras Yisrael, there was a gateway, down 15 steps into the Ezras Nashim, and if you continue forward, it would take you out to the Shar HaMizrach, the easternmost gate out of the Beis HaMikdash. So two Kahana would position themselves b'shara elyon at the upper gate on top of the steps. Sheyored me'ezros Yisrael, Ezros Nashim, which takes you down to Ezros Nashim. Shnei chatz tzoysos b'yadeim, holding on to two trumpets. Kara hagever, once the gever called out, some explain this is the rooster crowing, taku ve'riu taku, the Kahana would blow through their trumpets, atkiya, atru, atkiya. As we explained earlier, this was an expression of simcha after my mesasa. Higiu lamala asiris. They started down the steps. When they got to step number 10, once again they repeated taku ve'riu v'taku. They continued down again. Higiu la'azar, and they got to the floor of the Ezros Nashim. Once again they repeat taku ve'riu v'taku. And this third tekiah was a tekiah gadol. They would just blow and blow as they walked towards the eastern exit of the Beis Hamikdash. Until they get to the shar, taking them out from the eastern side of the Beis Hamikdash. Once they got to that entranceway, they turned back around, faced Mara, faced the Heichal, faced the Beis Hamikdash, and they declared, our forefathers, who dwelled in this Beis Hamikdash back during Fri Jun, they were not so loyal to you. They rebelled against you. Their backs were positioned El HaHeichal upaneim kedma, and their faces were towards the east. Umishtachvem kedma l'Hashemesh, bowing to the sun. They did avodah zarah. But us, we're totally committed to you. V'anu leka'inenu, our eyes are set towards you, Hashem. Rabbi Yehuda, they would repeat for emphasis. Hayushainen, they would repeat v'ayimrin. Anu leka uleka'inenu. Tanu Rabban, Misha lo'ira simchas beis hasheva. One who didn't have the schus of experiencing this intense joy of simchas beis hasheva, lo yira'ah simcha miyam, if he never really experienced true joy. Likewise, misha lo yira'ah Yerushalayim b'tifarta, one who never had the experience of seeing Yerushalayim in its glory and its beauty, lo yira'ah krach nechman ba'olam, he should know that he never really experienced a true beautiful city. Misha lo yira'ah beis hamikdash b'vinyanai, one who never saw the Beis Hamikdash standing, lo yira'ah binyan mefor mi'olam, he never really experienced a beautiful architectural structure. Now which Mikdash are we speaking about? The first Beis Hamikdash built by Shlomo, the second one built by Nehemiah, or after renovations that Hurders did? At which stage are you referring to? Amar Abai, the third stage. Vitema, some say Rav Chizda, Zebinyan Hurders, referring to the Beis Hamikdash Hasheni after renovations by Hurders, which was truly beautiful. But my bani, what materials did he use to build that Beis Hamikdash? Amar Rava, Ba'avnei Shisha. He used all types of colored marbles. Ba'avnei Shisha, this greenish marble, Umarmar, and this whitish marble. Ikad Amr, some say 3 types of marble. Ba'avnei Shisha, greenish marble, Kuchla, bluish marble, Umarmara, and white. Afik Shafa v'ayel Safa. When he put the marble in, so one row was a bit in, one row was a bit out, to give it some grabbing space, so that the plaster can tack on, because he planned on coating it with gold. He figured, let me plate the walls with gold, really royal and beautiful. Rabban advised him otherwise. You know what? Leave it alone. Natural is beautiful. Shavke, leave it alone. It looks even nicer. Just leaving it like this. These different colored marble stones really present that kaleidoscope of panoramic coloring. It's beautiful. The mischazik advasa de yama, it appears like rolling waves at the sea. Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Misha leira, the yuf luston. Rashi says this is a combined word. Diu is 2, double. Plu is like metropolitan. Plu is a place for leaders, for sarim, an important place. Stun denotes a building or an area designed as a stuv. We had that in the Harabayas. Stuv is a place where there are platforms, benches, a gathering area, a stadium. So whoever didn't see this, Diup Luston, Alexandria, which was situated in Alexandria, Shemitzrayim, which was their community center, serving the Jewish community. This was this most grand, beautiful community center. You meant to know, you never really experienced the true glory of Yisrael. Amru, they described it as follows: Kimin besilki g'dayla haisa. It appeared like this beautiful, big should I say, stadium. This big, huge area, big, huge structure. Lifnim stav lifnim stav, which featured a double row, double circle of benches and platforms. And look how many people can get in there. Let's skip the brackets. Sometimes you can have as many people who equal double. They would double of the number of people leaving Mitzrayim. So instead of 600,000, there was 1,200,000 people in this stadium. In which there were 81 of these royal seats, golden seats. Keneged Ayin Aleph Shel Sanhedrin Gedol. They made their own Sanhedrin there. By the way, we're speaking about the Yisraelim that ran away at the end of Churban Bayis Rishon. They went to Mitzrayim, and they were warned not to do that, and they were actually punished. And in any case, they built themselves up a real successful community, and very grand and very royal, very wealthy. So they had a Sanhedrin which they appointed for their service. So they had 71 of these seats. Keneged Ayin Aleph Shel Sanhedrin Gedola corresponded to the 71 Zakenim. The Bach modifies the Lashon HaGemara. Instead of Sanhedrin Gedola, he puts in the word Zakenim. So it wasn't really Sanhedrin Gedola. It was just 71 Zakenim who served for their in their Bezdin. Kol achas v'achas. Every one of these seats was so grand. Ein b'chusa me'esrim ve'echad riboy kikrezav. The guy takes out the word. Hagoy takes out the word riboy, so it was actually a bit less. So it wasn't less than 21 kikre zav, made from 21 of these kikres, an amount of zav. I think it's 60 mana. So it was a huge amount of gold used in constructing these seats. So this was a real display of pomp and grandeur. Ubima shel eitz memseisa. In the midst of this community center, you had this wooden stage. Upon which the shul attendant would stand. Now, when the chazan would get to the point of an amen, there were many people who were out of earshot. So how would they know when to respond? So the chazan HaKnesses would give them a signal. With a flag in his hand. Once they got to the point that were meant to answer amen to the shliach tzibur, halav meinef besudar, this fellow would raise up his cloth, his flag, amen, upon which everybody would respond with a thundering amen. It was a very organized system. They wouldn't be sitting just mixed, the blacksmith with the goldsmith. Everybody sat according to his profession. They had it all sectioned off. They wouldn't sit mixed up. Ella, Zahavin b'fnei atzman, the smiths would sit on their own. V'kasafin b'fnei atzman, and the silversmiths would sit on their own. V'napachin b'fnei atzman, and the metal workers, the blacksmiths, would sit on their own. V'tarasim b'fnei atzman, likewise, the copper workers would sit on their own. The gardim b'fnei atzman, and finally, the weavers would have their own section. What was so beneficial about this system? Very pashut. It was very helpful for a laborer. He knew where to go to get some work. When a poor person comes in there looking for work in his field, he would take a look and figure out where the employer is sitting, those that are engaged in his type of work. V'niftin l'sham, and he would take a turn to that direction. Umesham parnasasai or parnasas anshe beisai, he would gain employment and get parnasas for himself and his family. Amar Abaye, they all met a very sad ending. V'kulu katlinu Alexander's Moikton. Alexander's Moikton killed them all out. My time anshu, why did they deserve punishment? Mishum da avri haikra, because they had transgressed this pasuk, which warns against living in Mitzrayim. Lo yisay sifon lashav b'derech hazeh. You're not meant to go back to Mitzrayim. V'hinu adur asu, and they returned. So eventually they were killed out. I ask many mefarshim, what about the Rambam who lived in Mitzrayim? What about other tzaddikim who lived in Mitzrayim? They were over on this pasuk. There are many terutzim. The Ritva says the pasuk is referring to a time when Yisrael was still in the Beis Hamikdash, still in Eretz Yisrael. So then you meant to stay in Eretz Yisrael. Don't downgrade yourself. Don't live in Mitzrayim, a place where they lead a very unacceptable lifestyle, place of zima. So when Eretz Yisrael is occupied by Yisrael, then going to Mitzrayim is a real severe downgrade. You're not meant to do that. But in a time of Gullus, when Yisrael dispersed throughout the throughout all the countries. In any case, there's no preference to one country over the other. So what happened with Alexandrus? Ki Asa, when he arrived in Mitzrayim, Ashke Chinu, he encountered them, the Havu Kar B'Sifra. He sees that they're reading a Sefer Torah. And what are they reading? The Pasuk in Teichacha, in Dvarim. Yisa Hashem Alecha Goy Mirachak. Hashem will bring upon you a foreign nation to destroy you. Omar, he started thinking, Michti, let me analyze what happened here. Hahu Gavra, this person is referring to himself. This fellow had plans. Boy Lamesi Sfinta. Basara Yami. He was planning a 10-day boat trip to get to Mitzrayim. What happened? He had Kvitza Saderach. Daldi Zika. Suddenly a wind came along, and the wind effect hastened his trip. It expedited considerably. V'asi Sfinta b'chamsha Yami. Instead of being a 10-day trip, it became a 5-day trip. It was cut in half. So he figured it must be Gzera of Hashem, and he's justified in what he's planning on doing. Nafa Allah, you attacked him, Katlinu, he killed him. We spoke about the Tikkun Gadol, which took place in the Ezras Nashim, in preparation for Simchas Beis HaSheva, Motzei Yontiv v'chul. My Tikkun Gadol was this great enhancement, which was done in preparation for Simchas Beis HaSheva. Amar Belazar Ka'osis Sheshaninu, as we learned in the Mishnah in Midas. Initially, the walls of Ezras Nashim were smooth, no structure, no balcony. Eventually, they surrounded it with a gzustra. Gzustra, these beams coming out of the walls upon which they would place planks to support the Nashim who would observe from the top. And they instituted Sheyu Nashim Yoishves Milamala, Vanashim Milamata, women should be on top, the men on bottom. This way they're in separate domains, and there's no mingling, and that maintains the integrity of the Simcha, the purity of the Simchas Beis HaSheva. Okay, let's do a brief chazar of today's daf. Who are the managnim on that stage throughout the karbanes throughout the year? 3 shittas. We have one shitta which says avadim. The Gemara concludes because he holds there's no concern of false identification. In any case, we don't certify anybody standing on the duchen, whether it's as far as yichus, as far as ma'aser. The other shita says Yisrael Michasim had to do it because we're going to falsely certify you as a Yisrael Miyuchas. According to the other shita, Levim Hayu, because we are ma'ala from duchen to yuchsin and masers. We concluded that the correct approach to the discussion between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabban, whether or not instrument playing is Deicha Shabbos, pertains only to Simchas Beis HaSheva because it was merely Simcha Yisrael, and the question is whether that's Deicha Shabbos. Is that an important enough part of the Beis HaMikdash procedure for which the Chacham would suspend their shvus of playing instruments on Shabbos or Yom Tov? Yes or no? But when it comes to a carbon, of course, instruments make the song, instruments produce the shira, and since the carbon is Deicha Shabbos, any avodah associated with the carbon is Deicha Shabbos, including orchestral performance. We had the Mekaris for the Shita which says Ika Shira V'Peh, for the Shita of Ika Shira V'Kli. We went on to describe Simchas Beis HaSheva, which involved lighting these menorahs, which illuminated the entire city. Chasidim would be the ones dancing, the Levim playing the Klei Shir without any end, without any number. And the Gemara told us that whoever missed the Simchas Beis HaSheva experience missed Simcha. Whoever didn't see Yerushalayim missed a beautiful city, missed the Beis HaMikdash, missed a beautiful structure. You didn't see that community center in Alexandrius. You missed that on Kvodah Shel Yisrael, and we concluded with Tikkun Gadol, the balconies erected to create that separation between the Anoshim and Anoshim, to maintain the purity of Beis HaSheva. Kol tov to you and much hatzlacha.